As Sister Wives fans know, Kody Brown has been married 4 times to 4 different wives. However, his wedding, honeymoon, and marriage experiences have differed in many ways. Here are the different honeymoons Kody planned for each of his wives, according to the family's book, Becoming Sister Wives: The Story of an Unconventional Marriage. Kody married his first wife, Mary Brown, on April 21, 1990. In the family's memoir, Mary penned her marriage and honeymoon experience. She wrote, "We had plans to leave on our honeymoon the next day, but unfortunately, I got sick, and that delayed our plans." She continued, "So for the next 3 days, we stayed at home. Kody started calling our home our honeymoon cottage. Finally, toward the end of the 3rd day, I felt good enough to travel. There we were, 4 days after we were married, finally leaving on our honeymoon. We only got as far as Pocatello, Idaho, that night." Mary revealed, "Our honeymoon was a typical Kody Brown-style trip. Everything was spontaneous and unplanned. We were just so excited to be married and to be traveling with only each other for company." The next day, we made it to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, our official honeymoon destination. We spent a memorable few days there, sightseeing around the quaint little tourist town and exploring our new relationship. We had a magical and romantic experience together, a wonderful beginning to our new life. On Jan 20, 1993, Kody added his second wife, Janelle Brown, to the mix. While their honeymoon destination is unknown, it appears that Kody still plans some kind of road trip to spend with Janelle alone. Kody wrote, "We had a spiritual ceremony on another bitterly cold January night. Then we went on our honeymoon. We had no plan. We just drove and drove, staying wherever we felt like stopping." Janelle wrote about her honeymoon, "Except for that brief car ride during which Kody proposed, until our honeymoon, the only time we'd been alone was when we went out to retrieve something from the cow pen on the ranch. Although I was looking forward to finally having the freedom to be alone together, it was awkward at first." She wrote, "By the end of the honeymoon, we had arrived at a point where we felt safer with each other. But it would be many, many years into our marriage before our true love story would begin." On March 25, 1994, Kody Brown added his third wife, Christine Brown. With Kody's marriages growing tense with the addition of Christine to the family, he didn't have time to plan a wedding with working full-time. After the wedding in Utah, Christine and Kody traveled back to where he was living with Mary and Janelle in Wyoming. In the Becoming Sister Wives memoir, Christine recalled, "I was shaken when Kody showed up at our wedding with that look on his face. He was morose. I was even more devastated when I learned that he hadn't planned a honeymoon. I was hoping that we'd finally have a romantic getaway, something special that told me how thrilled he was to have me in his family." She wrote, "On our honeymoon, a drive through the sticks of Montana, I was struck by the realization that I didn't know Kody very well. Once we got into the car, he still had the faraway look on his face that I'd seen at our wedding. He seemed distant and unreachable. I began to understand that he felt overwhelmed. However, I didn't know how to talk to him about what he was feeling. I had no idea how to reach out to him. I just sat there in silence. Watching him drive with that look on his face made me unbearably sad." On May 22, 2010, Kody married Robin Brown in a spiritual ceremony. After they went on a honeymoon to San Diego, California, for 11 days. As documented in Sister Wives Season 1, the newlyweds surfed in the ocean, went on a safari, and did other fun touristy activities together. Since the other wives didn't get the elaborate honeymoon that Robin did, this caused friction within the family. In the memoir, Robin wrote about her and Kody's expensive honeymoon. Robin wrote, "Sometimes I worried that it seemed as if I was getting preferential treatment. I got the big wedding followed by a long honeymoon. However, the honeymoon was both necessary and special to me. I never asked Kody for a 10-day trip, but he must have had a sixth sense that it was something important for us. Since we believe in remaining chaste before marriage, the honeymoon ushers in a new part of our relationship. Those 10 days were especially important to me because of the hardships I had been through in my previous marriage." She continued, "I understand now that my honeymoon was somewhat hurtful to my sister wives, who didn't have comparable experiences. I made sure Kody called all of them several times during our 10 days away, but not all of my new sister wives took his calls. I found out later, when we returned home, how upset some of my sister wives were that Kody took a longer honeymoon with me than with them. Many sister wives fans thought it was unfair that Christine didn't get a honeymoon at all, but Robin was able to have an extensive 11-day trip to California." Sister Wives Season 16 1-on-1 reunion airs Sunday,